there's nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats. Those aren't fans, those are trolls. There are so many positive storylines that can be written and celebrated, and for me, that's why I became a fan of this league, is these people were my idols. I grew up wanting to be like them. So I think continuing to uplift and, represent this league in a positive way is the best thing that we can do.
Caitlin Clark, a name that has steadily become synonymous with college basketball excellence, found herself in an unfamiliar situation after an interaction with a Connecticut Sun fan left her speechless. Known for her confidence on the court, Clark, with her pinpoint shooting and ice-cold demeanor under pressure, had weathered many challenges in her young career. But this particular challenge wasn't from an opponent on the court. It came from the sidelines, and it was as unexpected as it was distasteful. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. To say Clark was taken aback would be an understatement. She's always maintained a calm and composed exterior, one that doesn't easily falter under pressure, but this was something else. There was a pause, a moment where you could almost see the disbelief flicker across her face as she registered what had just been said. It wasn't a physical confrontation, but it hit like one. Clark didn't respond immediately, and the reason wasn't because she was unsure of what to say. She, like many athletes of her caliber, has likely been heckled countless times. But this wasn't about her basketball skills. This wasn't about missing a shot or getting outplayed on defense. This was personal. The fan, emboldened by the anonymity of the crowd, Clark is no stranger to adversity, but this moment was different. Usually adversity for her is an opposing player trying to defend her or an entire crowd hoping she'll miss a game-winning shot. But here she was, off guard, confronted not by an opponent. What was supposed to be a regular game night turned into a moment that neither Clark nor the spectators would forget anytime soon. It's one thing to be criticized for your performance on the court, but this attack wasn't about basketball at all. It was personal, and more than that, it reflected a deeper societal issue. For an athlete like Clark, who has always carried herself with grace, this type of incident can sting in ways that a tough loss never could. She's dealt with the pressures of high-stakes games, media scrutiny, and the expectations of being a rising star in her sport. But this was a weight in the air, as though the joy and competitiveness of the game had been dampened by the ugly reality of racism seeping into a place that was supposed to be a sanctuary for sportsmanship. Despite the ugliness of the incident, there's something to be said for how Clark handled herself. She didn't retaliate. She didn't engage. Instead, she did what she does best: play basketball. It was as if she channeled the negativity, taking a serious issue and flipping it into something that, at times, was laugh-out-loud funny. The whole situation had spiraled out of control, but instead of folding, the fans leaned into the chaos, turning it into a spectacle of its own. But behind the humor and the jokes was a real issue that needed addressing. The playoff disaster was a wake-up call for the WNBA. If the league wanted to be taken seriously, fans were watching, and they weren't just watching the players anymore. They were scrutinizing every call, every whistle, and every decision with the sharpest eyes possible. And for a league that was trying to build a reputation for being tough, competitive, and fair, the last thing it could afford was the perception of bias or, even worse, cheating. In the aftermath of this officiating disaster, the WNBA faced some hard questions. Cathy Engelbert, who had been relatively well regarded up to this point, now found herself in the hot seat. The fans had made their voices heard loud and clear. Something had to change. The officiating had to improve. The integrity of the game was at stake, and for many, the playoff debacle had proven that the league wasn't ready for the big stage if it couldn't get the basics right. This wasn't just about Caitlin Clark or her fans. When officiating starts to interfere, it pulls everyone out of that illusion. Suddenly, it's not about who's better on the court. It's about who has the favor of the referees. And when that happens, the sport itself suffers. The fans who tuned in to see Caitlin Clark do what she does best weren't getting that. They were getting a referee show, and nobody had signed up for that. The Engelbert's face was now synonymous with the disaster, an unintended mascot for everything that had gone wrong during the playoffs. Yet amid all the chaos, there was an undeniable energy surrounding the controversy, a buzz that, if harnessed correctly, could potentially push the league to grow in ways it hadn't anticipated. The playoff debacle, while embarrassing for the WNBA, of these fans, because in the world of professional sports, once you lose the fans, everything else crumbles. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, Keep discovering and stay tuned.